Guys, today I'll be answering this question of what is the connection between fear of rejection and maladaptive daydreaming. Fear of rejection is this instance where you are afraid that your crush or that someone you are attracted to may reject you, or you're also afraid that if you apply for that job you will get rejected. So you just in this instance where you are afraid of taking action in real life because you will get rejected. So what happens is when you are afraid of, as a maladaptive daydreamer, when you are afraid of facing something in real life, you look for a way to cope with this fear. And one of the ways to cope with this fear now is going to an imaginary world, because in the imaginary world you know that you can approach that lady, you can apply for that job, but you will not get rejected because it's all in your imagination, and an imaginary world is a world where things are within your control. So to compensate this fear of rejection in real life, instead of facing the fear, what happens is you just create this imaginary world where everything is okay, and then you now approach the crush, even talk to them, even take them for dates and something, even apply for that job, even rise up the ranks and everything, because you are building a world in your head. So you really desire not to be rejected, but because in real life you cannot really control the response of the other. Like even if it's your crush, even if let's say I have a crush on someone, then I approach them and then they reject me, it's okay, like I can't control it, but at least I'd have tried. But because you are really afraid of rejection, you end up creating a universe where rejection is not an option. And that's why your imaginary world is really your idealized version of a world where things go your way. And that's how it can be really entrapping, because instead of you facing the fear, which is facing that fear of rejection, you end up not really facing it, but instead looking for another alternative to the fear. But once you snap out of that daydream, the fear will still be there. So fear of rejection leads to finding solace in an imaginary world where you're not being rejected. But the solution to this fear of rejection actually is not really in going to that universe, it is in facing this fear of rejection in real life. And yeah, you may be really having this fear of rejection because if you are rejected, it may trigger some underlying issues. And because the mind understands that these underlying issues can be so uncomfortable for you to process, it will steer you towards that imaginary universe. And one of the common underlying issues for fear of rejection is if you are raised in an environment where you are constantly rejected by your peers or your friends or your family or your siblings. So when you are constantly rejected, you really tend to believe that maybe you are not worthy of healthy connection, or maybe there's something wrong with you. You tend to really shame yourself, or to really live in this state where you really think that something is wrong with you, or you are a bad person and you don't deserve any kind of relationship. And any attempt to connect with people in real life will lead to rejection. So when you really live in this state, you really believe that you will always be rejected, you will find solace in that imaginary universe, and that's why it becomes very addictive. So to break free, you work on the underlying issues and get to the point where you understand that rejection doesn't have to define you as a person. Like you can get rejected today, but tomorrow you can still not get rejected. It's just life, and you cannot control how others respond to your approach. Let's say if you approach a lady, you cannot control it. It's up to them, but it doesn't have to define you. In fact, once you really work on these underlying issues, you'll realize that if you approach the lady the first time, the second time you'll be learning even better ways to approach them, because now you're looking at it as something which is even enjoyable. You don't really see the rejection as something. You're just like, it's a normal thing, but I'm learning more and more. So facing the fear in the imaginary world is not the solution. The solution is coming back to real world and facing the fuel for the fear of rejection. Until next time, guys, have a nice day.